Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Am I tripping right there? Was that weird? Was that lagged for a second? Welcome everybody to the live stream. Happy Friday. TGIF, everybody. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Guys, tonight's live stream, I thought we would just kick it a little bit. Friday style, weekend style. Talk a little bit about what the implications of 0-point energy-based technology, scalar electromagnetic technology, you might hear it called, what the implications of this technology are. Now, before we get into this, I want to thank everybody who's been watching on Rumble and on Pilled this week. If I missed your donations, I apologize. I'm going to try to figure out a way that I can get those incorporated into the live stream. I do think I have the chats up for both of those right now, though. So if you're watching on Rumbled or on Pilled, thank you very much. And if you're a longtime YouTube follower, thank you very much. Please hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Science appreciates it, guys. Where should we start tonight, guys? Oh, let's just start with this, everybody. The United States has warp drive capability. The United States has warp drive capability. Am I some random guy on TV, on the internet saying that they have capability? Yes. Yes, I am a random guy on the internets claiming to have information about warp drive capabilities. But I don't come empty-handed. I do not come empty-handed. I don't care about credentials. Doesn't matter what you think about me. I'm just some guy on YouTube. I'm a healthcare IT consultant. I always have been for 20 years. And then everything changed when I saw what we refer to as the MH370 videos. More specifically, this right here. This right here. And this changed everything about my life, but what was important is upon investigating this video, this clip specifically. And so, sorry guys, if you are seeing pixelation, it's because of my bandwidth at the moment. Not exactly sure what's wrong with it, if I'm being honest with you guys. Maybe if I close this. Hopefully it'll fix it. I can't do anything about it, though, so we'll see. Other than crashing the stream. So, point being, this is a real warp drive. But it's not just a warp drive. It's actually a wormhole as well. So, what I want to point out is that when I first started digging into that video, digging into the science, I didn't know what the hell was going on. One of my good friends named Dave Rossi as well, he became a friend as part of this investigation, told me that it's macroscopic phase conjugation. So now we've got macroscopic phase conjugation, we've got wormholes, we've got warp drives, we've got teleportation. What's going on in that video? Well, the answer is all of it. All of it? How can it be all of it? Well, it can be all of it because that basically the science behind it is the same for all of those things. And it all comes down to this idea that space is not actually empty. The big lie that we've been told is that they say that if you were to look at the distance between two atoms at the smallest scales, it's 99% empty space. Does that make sense? And it turns out when we scale that view of the universe up, we scale it up to the large cosmological scale, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is that in that model of empty space, any three-body system becomes unstable over a long period of time because they get jerked out of orientation, and eventually one of the three bodies flies out. It's called the three-body problem. And it should have happened to our solar system. We also can't even explain why galaxies have more mass to them than what we see. At some point, you think we should have said, we being academia or just society, maybe what we see isn't all there is. So why am I saying this? Because I'm here to say that that clip that I just showed you, this clip comes from a video of a real event, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, that also mysteriously disappeared without a trace 11 years ago. Impossibly disappeared without a trace. Okay. The other problem is this. The first question that I get every time, why are they recording? Why are they recording? This reminded me of something. Because what I want to do here is I want to answer all the main questions around the technology here. Is that people say, no, this doesn't make any sense. Why are they, who's filming this? Why is there a drone in the middle of nowhere? And why would they be filming a random civilian airliner? That's the first thing that people generally ask. Here's the side-by-side, right? Look, we can see the drone right in the beginning, right? You can see that drone. Why is this being recorded? Anybody in the chat today? There we go. Is there any other answer? There can be literally only one answer to that question. And it answers everything about the videos, doesn't it? It kind of just answers everything about the video. So the reason why I'm pointing this out, the reason why I'm playing coy here is I want you guys to realize that you come to this conclusion on yourself. It's not me telling you to think this. It's an operation because that's the only explanation for why they're recording. That's the only reason. And why is that so huge? It's so huge because it means that's our orbs. It means that's our orbs. That's our technology. The same reason for the question, why are they recording? The answer to that question also means that we have that technology. Even if it comes from aliens or future humans or whatever the explanation is, which I really don't know. It means that we have it right now. That's why the MH370 videos are probably the crown jewel in the entire UFO video collection. They're probably the crown jewel, but they're definitely an issue of national security. No question. These videos are national security. And that's why for the next question that people ask is why like Joe Rogan doesn't talk to you, why mainstream media will never give you a call, why people are afraid. You'll notice when people do videos about MH370, they're like afraid to bring these videos up. They're afraid to bring me up. They're afraid to say my name. The reason's not because it's fake. When something's fake, is somebody afraid to bring them up? No. If you've learned anything, especially from the last 4 years, is that when people are being suppressed, when people are afraid to talk to somebody, it's not because what they're saying is fake. It's because it's too real to dispute. It's too real to dispute. And if you try to go argue somebody who's armed with the facts, you're going to get eviscerated. And they know it. They see it every time somebody goes on Joe Rogan and tries to argue why COVID was such a great idea. And they just get absolutely destroyed, right? Like, that's what happens with those videos. So we have this capability. We have this capability. It's not even a question about whether or not we have it. The videos show that we have it. That's the evidence. You don't need to believe me or anything I'm saying. Ask yourself the question when you watch that video. Why were they recording? And then go ahead and be a skeptic. Ask yourself the next question. If somebody faked that video, what perspective are they trying to give us? They're trying to make it look like a military operation, right? Because that's the only reason why you record from that. So if somebody faked it, they're also trying to fake it to make it look like a military operation. And now you've already reached snag number 1 on why the videos aren't fake. Somebody faked a military operation video in thermal video? Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. And this is why when I used to challenge people, I would always say, tell me the story of you think who faked this. What were they trying to portray? What was the scene that they were trying to put out there? Because you can just tell watching the video right away, this is a military operation. And that's what I love about the videos. There is no out. They give people no out. Like the military, I almost wish you couldn't see the nose of the drone or something like that in the video. Because if like one of these details was missing, you could like come up with a lot more excuses for the videos. You could like say they accidentally were recording. They just happen to have surveillance everywhere. No, you can't say that. Like you guys said, why are they recording? It doesn't make sense. There's no way. There's just a drone out there in the middle of nowhere, randomly catches a Boeing 777 on fire. What? No, it has to be an operation. It has to be. So when this clip emerged, I could not believe my goddamn ears on what I was hearing from President Trump. I could not believe it. I sat there and I realized this happened like before, I think, the live stream on Wednesday. And I sat there and I went, geez, man, I wish I had seen this earlier because I would have live streamed all about it. Got like 7 million impressions from this clip alone because it's just insane.
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just
we have weapons. Nobody really understands how powerful we are. We have weapons nobody understands. And then he just straight up goes like, just dismisses the idea of like, are these other countries even a threat to us? He's like, nobody's going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. They know we own them. Like, holy shit. Wow. Now, why did I spend 15 minutes setting the stage of all that? Because when you listen to that in the context of what I just told you, it is mind-blowing. I mean, we are ready to dance. It's a Friday, and if I was Wednesday and we were watching that during the live stream, I'd have been doing a jig. Because how do you even interpret that in any other context? It's either he's a liar and he's making up this all up, or it's real and holy shit, he's just telling us that we have like next generation technology. You don't say that we have stuff that nobody understands. I mean, that implies technology beyond the paradigm. It implies technology beyond the current paradigm, which is huge. That just reminded me of something else I need to write down. And another thing too is that people say Trump if they told Trump about UFOs, he would blur about it, or aliens or whatever. Those people are right. He's doing that in that clip. I'm going to play it again because it's not even that long. Let's just play it again. Maybe people missed it. How do I get it back up?
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful.
Honestly, if anything, he's downplaying it right there. This country is if anything, he's downplaying it in that right there.
Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand.
Like, you can tell he wants to say more. We're far more powerful than people understand. How else do you interpret that? We know we have nukes. We know we have crazy shit. To say something like that?
We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is.
We have weaponry. Nobody has any idea what it is. This is crazy because this same day on Wednesday that this dropped, Jeremy Corbell was on all the mainstream, like NBC shit, talking about his new Tic Tac video. And in the Tic Tac video, Jeremy Corbell says, nobody understands this, therefore it must be aliens. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially his argument. And you're going, Trump on the exact same day said, we have weaponry that nobody understands. So who's right? Jeremy douchebag Corbell on NBC, or the president of the United States, who theoretically has access to anything he wants?
It's the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that. But I think that if
my favorite's the end part. Not even close. Not even close. And so nobody's going to do that. That's like how I talk to like my nephew. Yeah, no, nobody's going to do that. It's just so matter of factly, you know, like, go run along now and play. Nobody's going to do that. And not even close. So the not even close part, this kind of solidifies it for me. I think I'm understanding the framework of where we're at from the technology perspective, based on my conversations with people like U.S. Navy engineer Salvatore Pais. I mean, guys, just 1 second. Like, let me just lay this down too. Like, think about like who we have on our side. Maybe not necessarily like fully in agreement on everything, but we've got a U.S. Navy engineer who's got 5 U.S. So the patents are so out there. His patents, they call them UFO patents, even though they're not. Electromagnetic Tesla technology, 0-point energy technology based patents, Salvatore Pais' patents. We got him on our side. We got the guy who shot Osama bin Laden in the fucking head, Robert J. O'Neill, Dev Gru, SEAL Team 6. He was part of the Alabama Maersk, like, what was it called? The Tom Hanks movie. I'm the captain now. He was on that operation, and he shot Osama bin Laden. And there's another movie that's apparently like a true story based on Robert J. O'Neill as well. And he said that Malaysian Airlines was a message to China. Like 6 months after I said it. Look at who we have on our side. We got General Flynn. General Flynn. I sit here sometimes and just wonder, what the fuck is going on behind the scenes? Like, what is going on between the people that know? Because a lot of people know about this technology. So, question 1 people have. If they really have warp drive technology, let's just call it gravity manipulation, right? So gravity manipulation allows for warp drives, wormholes, teleportation, all the things I mentioned before. If they really have that technology, how many people know? Question 1. How many people know about it? The answer is you have to be pretty high level, most likely, to know about it. And or like in the know because you were part of the defense contractor that helped build it kind of situation. Now, what I did though, because I especially was curious about Robert J. O'Neill. Why is it that Robert J. O'Neill knows about MH370? Well, it's not too surprising since he was a SEAL Team 6 DevGru guy, but like, why actually does he know? So I went ahead and I started looking up special forces. I didn't really know anything about it. I actually learned quite a bit today. And what I learned was that who the people were who were the SOCOM and PACCOM commanders. So this would be the Special Forces overall commander of all the Special Forces, which includes SEAL Team 6. And it might include some intel / reconnaissance teams. I'm not really sure where the I was looking for something where the VPU-2 wizards from the Navy would come into play. Didn't find anything directly, but people talk. Now, this is where it's kind of interesting. Robert J. O'Neill left the SEALs, I think, in 2011. And the MH370 incident happened in 2014. So I looked up a couple people. And I don't think this is going to be like some big gotcha. I'm not trying to gotcha Robert J. O'Neill or anything like that. I'll hit these donos in a second too, guys. Wait. The wrong thing came up. Here we go. Yo, StreamYard, you got to fix your shit if you're out there. They put an update in like a few weeks ago, and it messed everything up. Okay, so I found two people. Number one was Philip Gardner Howe. He was the commander at the time for PACCOM. And it turns out he used to be a Navy SEAL as well. He used to be a Navy SEAL. So this was the guy that was in charge. So now I'm starting to see, oh, this is actually a small knit community. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Robert J. O'Neill knows what kind of general was he? Sorry, what was his? Oh, Admiral, Vice Admiral. If he didn't know Vice Admiral Howe. Also, when you look at Vice Admiral Howe's record, it was really bizarre. Like right after MH370, he gets reassigned and he became the president of the Naval War College a couple months later. And then he became the director for military affairs at the CIA right after that. Read it. You know, I avoided digging into some of these people early on, actually up until this point, because I was afraid that I would cross too many boundaries here. I'm actually a little bit afraid that I am crossing too many boundaries when I started looking into this. But when you want, like, I'm only looking at this because I wanted to understand how Robert J. O'Neill would know. And so how would he know? Well, holy shit, he probably knows one of these dudes. And these guys are the people who had been in charge of the operation. He was literally commander of the special forces in the Pacific. Okay. Now here's another one. Here's an Admiral McRaven. Now, Admiral McRaven was the head of all special forces. And when I started looking up special forces, I found out there's basically like 3 branches that control everything that happens. And this guy was in charge of one of those branches. In fact, he was in charge of the branch that would have been in charge of the operation. So I was able to, basically the way this played out, I was able to figure out how many branches there are of how this works. It's basically like 3 branches for special operations. One of them is like transport. One of them is like, I don't know, intel or something. And then the one that actually does the shit. This guy was the guy in charge of it. Now, his background too, really extensive. I mean, these guys are long service. And actually, he was considered by Biden to be the Secretary of Defense. So, anyway, these are the guys where, like, if they're in charge of special forces, they definitely know about it. They know about it. So Admiral McRaven and then Rear Admiral, right? Sorry, what was his assignment? Vice Admiral Howe. Admiral McRaven, Vice Admiral Howe almost certainly know about it as well. Interesting that Howe gets assigned to the CIA right after that. So, man, this is the shit where it's sketchy as hell. But anyway, so we have it. People know about it. They know about this technology, but we're basically just treating it like secret weapon technology. We're treating it like secret weapon technology. But there's a really, really good chance that it's just like UFO technology, like anti-gravitic technology. Whenever we think of this idea of anti-gravity, we think of it as aliens. We think of it as extraterrestrial. But we need to be more open-minded because it's not necessarily going to be the case. Now, let's look at some donations here. Paul. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you've been in the chat for a really long time as well, brother. Thank you very much. Corey, thank you for that big donation. Appreciate you, man. That's awesome. And Fortune, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a chill Friday night. Asmilk, thank you for being around. We knew about the deflectors as soon as they made their decision. When Rossi made his tech, he stated the military was immediately notified. Who do you think is monitoring the shadow government? And so when I talk about the shadow government, the reason why people refer to it as the shadow government, who are the people in the know? There are defense contractors, and a lot of them are probably just like managers, people like Eric Davis, who are physicists that will work with the contractors. And they may even, I don't even know how much they contract out. By the way, thank you for that donation, Asmilk. But they might even contract out like spying services. And the reason why you contract it out is that you don't have the liability anymore. You can skirt around the restrictions and the laws of the government if you contract it out to a third party. So they contract it out, and now you have a situation where how many people are really being exposed to this technology? The people that build it, and they're all going to shut the hell up. They're being well paid. If they talk, then the private contractors just make sure they disappear. The people who are in charge, and I've named some of those people here tonight just now. The other people who I've mentioned a lot are like John Brennan and James Clapper. I mentioned Obama. Avril Haines is somebody who's more recent. These people know they're never going to talk. They're politicians. They're great at lying. And then the last people you have are the people that were involved in the operation. The people actually involved in the operations where we're deploying this technology. And what I'll say is this is absolutely 100% true. What I'm going to say is that I've spoken to military members who are in the know. Well, let's say not read in, but have been exposed to technology that they could tell is just not normal technology. If you see some shit defying gravity, like a plasma ball defying gravity, you're going to be like, that is not some normal shit, right? That is obviously, if a random person comes off the street and looks at that, they're going to think it's aliens. I've spoken to people like that, and that shouldn't be mind-blowing because Greer's been speaking to people like that for 20 years. Where they saw a UFO in the whatever, right? So there are people out there that are being exposed to it, but they live in a code of conduct in the military, especially in special operations, where you do not go against the Brotherhood. In fact, it's a little bit like the Brotherhood in Fallout, because it becomes like a cult where it doesn't matter what's right or wrong. You just do what you are told, and you do not turn against people, because if you turned against your people, you are going to expose them, which might put them in danger. So it creates this situation where nobody is really speaking up. Who is going to speak up? Not the politicians that are hiding it, not the military commanders whose entire careers have been about keeping stuff like this secret. And certainly not the operators who are brainwashed under this code of conduct that everything they do, no matter how evil it is justified. And if they turn against their people and whistleblow, then they're the bad guys. And that's what they did to Edward C. Lin, the guy that leaked the MH370 videos. His name is Edward C. Lin. And they brainwashed him into thinking that he did something evil, that he helped our adversaries, that he gave away this. Because he gave this away, he gave our adversaries the secret sauce on how to build the orbs and make this technology. That's why he went to prison, even though he took a plea deal, even though they couldn't prove that even though they had no evidence that he was a spy at all. He went to prison because he leaked that. And honestly, spicy take incoming, they're right. They're absolutely correct. Just objectively speaking, he did risk national security, and he did give China and Russia this technology. So the next question people ask is, if we have this technology, does China and Russia have it too? If we have gravity manipulation technology, what about China? What about Russia? Okay, enter the speculation zone, of course. But again, I'm going to say that Trump, just like Trump said, we are way far ahead. We're way far ahead. We had teleportation tech, and these guys were probably wondering how to make a plasma ball float around. Okay? So we are, to me, that's like probably 20 years ahead, right? So big head start. But the big problem is this. I'm just a normal ass healthcare IT guy, and I was able to figure out what's going on in the videos and basically figure out and solve physics. I mean, it was already solved, but find where the missing puzzle pieces were in a year and a half. A year and a half, random ass guy off the street. This is like White Men Can't Jump, but for physics. It's like Wesley Snipes. I'm Woody Harrelson, and Wesley Snipes is just like, yo, grab that white dude, that healthcare dude right there. Have this guy solve physics. Ha, 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 ha. And then I do. And then I do solve physics. Ooh. Right? That's like kind of what happened. So if that can happen, then definitely Russia, China, probably Iran too, have a really good idea of what's going on and have maybe already figured it out. In fact, I would say that they probably, like, this is probably why I have not had more pushback. A lot of you wonder, the next question is, Ashton, why are you still alive if you're talking about warp drives and you're saying this is our most secret weapon? Why have they not silenced you? Great question. Part of the answer to that question is probably because Russia and China have already figured it out. They've already figured it out, and they are building their own versions of this too, which means that we're getting to a point where you can't hide it anymore. You can't hide it anymore. Now, and yes, there is pushback. The other thing is this. The way I've been exposing it, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but the way I've been exposing it is smart. If you really just peel back everything, what really am I? What am I doing? Am I a traitor? Am I somebody that is revealing known classified information? No. I'm somebody that just saw some videos on the internet, and I've been making logical deductions based on those videos. That's it. I didn't leak those videos on the internet. So if you think about, like, what justification would the government have to silence me? They have a very flimsy justification. I'm just a random guy. It's not like I leaked the videos. It's not like I'm a scientist that was working on a secret project and I'm breaking some NDA. I'm not breaking any NDAs. And that's why those videos are the biggest national security leak ever. That's why it's a national security leak. Think about it, guys. It's a national security leak because any normal person can look at it and get a huge amount of information from the videos. That's why it's a national security issue. Because you can infer so much. We inferred how space-time works. We inferred how reality works based on some videos, not to mention all of our spy satellite surveillance systems. Oh, by the way, we know exactly how the SOSA system works, the Cyber system. We know about their secret whammy footage capabilities. We know everything now. I mean, presumably they've changed. It's been 10 years. But this is why when something leaks on the internet, it's a national security issue. Imagine that a hooker gets told about warp drive. Is that a national security issue? No. Because the hooker is not going to go on CNN and tell people that Edward Lynn told her about warp drive. Can you imagine Anderson Cooper interviewing some hooker that goes, yeah, this guy told me about we got warp drive. Are you guys kidding me? Nobody would believe it. No one cares. It's not a national security threat. A national security threat is I can watch something and I can learn a huge amount of information from it. No stories, just straight up evidence, right? So hopefully that helps to understand the next question, which is, okay, why are you still alive? Why are you being allowed to talk about this? The answer is because it is very sticky situation as well. And all of these people have motivations behind the scenes. So for Trump got the talk. Trump definitely got the talk. You can tell Trump's attitude change from before he became president, and you could probably, if you had enough videos, you could probably pinpoint the week in which he got the security briefing, which basically said, we have free energy-based weaponry, like Doomsday weaponry. Makes your hair go white. It makes you reevaluate everything. You can see the perspective change on their view of reality when a president gets to talk. You can see when it happened to Clinton. You can see when it happened to Obama. And you probably could have seen it happen to George Bush Jr., but he's kind of too stupid. So you can't really tell. He always had that deer in the headlights. There's not a lot going on up there. But for Obama and Clinton and Trump, you could clearly tell that something changed after they got read in on this stuff. So I wanted to bring that up because when you get to talk, you can tell, do you think that someone's hair is going to go white over aliens? Maybe. Maybe that's your view, but not me. I think the thing that would make my hair go white is knowing that we've got some technology that's so advanced that it's going to, break people's minds. That's what I would think. Where did my notes go? Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is my favorite line from the Trump speech, or from the Trump message. So nobody's going to do that. This absolute confidence. Just look real quick at the tariff situation as well. I don't even really dig too much into the politics and what have you. Trump just basically bitched the whole world on this tariff situation. We're going to put 125% tariff on so-and-so, 400% on you, or why you. These tariff percentages are ridiculous. They're meant to draw a reaction. They're meant to pull you to the table. Trump got people to take a 10% tariff as a good thing. As a thing where thank you, sir, could I have another 10% tariff? because he was going to hit them with 145% or 125% or whatever. It's like, damn. Don't you feel like if anybody had any real power over the United States, that they would take that moment to try to punch us back? He bitched every single country on earth. Canada, like, he made their prime minister resign. He made him look like a little child. You don't do this unless you have like the number one military authority on your back. Everybody's just taking it. They're all just taking it too. Yeah, sure. They go on TV and say, we're going to fight back against the Trump tariffs and we're going to pull off the American liquor off the shelves. And they do all this like, visual stuff to like this propaganda on TV to look like they're pushing back. End of the day, they're not doing shit. End of the day, they just got straight up owned. And it really makes you wonder, why did we not do this sooner? Why were we not pushing our weight around? We have the number one military in the world. We can teleport shit. We're sitting on top of fusion and free energy technology. Why are we not putting tariffs on everybody? We should be just pushing our will around economically, not militarily. Who cares about military? I don't care about taking over Russia. I don't care about taking over China. I want to have less homeless people in America. Why can't America be like Brunei, where everybody's rich as shit? Ask yourself seriously for 1 second. Why can't we be that way? Why aren't we that way? And what you'll find out is because we're a corrupt-ass country and everybody is selling us out. Everybody has been selling us out. People have known we have this technology and they're just giving it away, not abusing the leverage that we have. Like, this is where I got to back Trump even more. We should be abusing every bit of leverage we have to make our populace, people, live a better life. Instead, we're sending all the money away. Once again, let me say it again. We have warp drive and teleportation technology. Nobody can touch us. We can never do whatever the hell we want. It doesn't mean we have to be assholes, but certainly doesn't mean we have to sit here and let other people tariff us while we have tariffs set to 0. Fuck that. We're running like trillions in deficit here. We have no money. Our people are poor as shit. We got people living on the streets everywhere. I was reading someone's DMs earlier today, and they were raging out because nobody's helping them. We have people just living so horribly that they're just like raging on social media and nobody will help them. Meanwhile, we just have infinite energy technology. We let every other country abuse us. We let our politicians abuse us. It's just at some point, enough is enough. I hope you appreciated that rant, chat. Ooh. Okay. I want to list intermission time. Intermission. I'm going to tell you guys what this technology can do. You guys say, Ashton, teleportation technology? Yeah, that's cool, I guess. But if you're so smart, what else can this so-called magical zero-point energy technology do? Okay, well, number one, get ready for this. There is no place safe anywhere on planet Earth. There's no place to hide on planet Earth. Doesn't matter if you're underground in a bunker, and it doesn't matter if you're in a 100-story building. It doesn't matter if you are in a aircraft carrier on the ocean or if you are in a submarine in the Mariana Trench. Every submarine anywhere in the face of the planet, its location is pinpoint accuracy known by the United States military. Any aircraft carrier is basically just a sitting duck sitting on the water. If you are anywhere in any building, they most likely have the capability at will to produce a 3D rendered map of the entire building, like in the movie The Dark Knight. In fact, they can probably do it just like in The Dark Knight, where they're hacking your phones to do it as well. Speaking of hacking, are you ready for this claim? Get ready. I don't think you'll have ever heard anybody say what I'm going to say right now. They have hacking capabilities that are not limited to being connected to the network. They can jump the gap. What I'm saying is that they can put a virus on your computer wirelessly without you being connected to the internet. That's the level of technology that I'm talking about. How is that possible? That is possible because space is not empty. Because space is not empty, you can transmit information through an extra dimension, basically a gravity or a quantum communication mechanism. We can also, of course, using the same exact technology, have an unhackable, faster than light communication mechanism, because you are basically creating a perturbation in the ether, and that perturbation can be picked up on the other side. So you can actually, if you can transmit information faster than light, teleport information, then you can jump the gap using the same exact idea. Because you would say, yes, exactly. Somebody in the chat just got it. Distance is an illusion. Because again, the idea is distance is an illusion. So you would say, okay, my network is here, but your network is here. Well, the answer is that there is no distance. That distance doesn't really exist. How crazy is that? I want to see a movie where they use the jumping the gap technology, because I think that people are going to see that and they're going to go, wait, what? No. And then you're going to have like CIA people like going on podcasts going, yeah, no, we really have that technology. And people are going to go, wait, how is that possible? Because it's only really possible if, I mean, there might be ways to do it in conventional physics. Conventional physics is really great at rationalizing how they're right when they're really wrong. So it's pretty funny. Oh, since we're on intermission, I do need to apologize. I want to apologize to, I'm not going to, maybe I can find it. When I was talking about sonoluminescence, there was somebody in the chat who was right. Now, I'm not backing down that classical physics does not understand, cannot explain sonoluminescence. But the angle I was going about it is incorrect, or potentially incorrect. I'm looking for the guy right now, and I can't find him in the replies. So whoever that guy is, I apologize. But what I want to say is this, is that the light could be getting theoretically produced from recombination. Doesn't necessarily have to be ion. It doesn't have to be fusion. Okay. So I made a big mistake on the last live stream and said that the light coming from solar luminescence must be fusion. That's just a theory, actually. It could also be happening from recombination, which means that the electrons are getting pulled apart and then they're coming back together with the atom again. And that releases a tiny little bit of energy. And so theoretically, that could be the reason. So I wanted to apologize to that person. The real, and so that's actually an emerging theory that in sonoluminescence, it's a plasma that's being created. And it still doesn't really explain everything. But I actually agree. That's what I think is happening, is this cavitation bubble with plasma. So, you know, close enough. The real kicker of sonoluminescence is that it cannot explain how sound is being transduced into light. Sound, when the word transduced means energy is changing forms. How is it that sound energy is being changed into light energy? That's the mechanism by which classical physics cannot explain it. And that's because classical physics says that sound waves are mechanical waves and electromagnetic waves are non-mechanical waves. And guess what? Guess what the difference is? They say that electromagnetic waves do not need a medium. Electromagnetic waves do not need a medium. But wait, what did I say at the beginning of this live stream? The big secret is that space is not actually empty. which would mean that electromagnetic waves do need a medium. And that would mean there is no such thing as a non-mechanical wave. That would mean that all waves are connected. And that would mean there's a path, logically, for us to transduce sound energy into electromagnetic energy, also known as light and photons. There we go. So I just wanted to correct that about sonoluminescence. Bang. There you go, chat. Okay. Back to the task at hand. And thank you guys in the Rumble chat. I see you guys in the Rumble chat. I don't know how to make it show up on the screen over here. StreamYard. Want to do something about that? But thank you, Borg and Echo, in the Rumble chat. I'll try to get the pilled up as well. Okay. What else can we do with the technology? Free energy. Free energy we can do with the technology and transmutation. Wow. Why is that possible? Because the basis for warp drive technology, how it's actually possible, is that this energy, space is not empty. So we're sitting in this ocean of energy. These are the waves. When we create our Alcubierre warp drive metric, we create one area of negative pressure, negative energy, and one of positive energy. These waves, that's gravity. So the ripples in the 0 point energy are gravity. So when I say it's a quantum communication or a gravity communication, I'm saying we're making ripples in the 0 point energy. And if we can create negative energy, the math says if I create a negative amount of energy here, you must get a corresponding amount of positive energy out of that. There must be a balance. So if I'm creating a negative amount of energy, I am pulling that energy out of a region. Well, where's it going? Just can't go nowhere. That's why free energy. That's why free energy. And then transmutation is a matter of fusion, which is a matter of moving up the scale in the elemental hierarchy. With gravity manipulation, we can achieve fusion because fusion, the secret to fusion is gravity. It always was. We know that. Everybody knows that. The problem has been that classic academia and physics does not believe that we can manipulate gravity. They've discounted it entirely from the fusion equation. So if we can manipulate gravity, we can produce fusion, we can create free energy, coefficient of performance greater than 1. Okay. So we can also use this to create a doomsday weapon. Doomsday weapon. So you saw teleportation in the MH370 video. It may be annihilation, but let's just say probably teleportation. It's crazy that I can say that with a degree of confidence, but I am. This same idea of putting 3 objects around another object and then having them converge and making that thing disappear. It's scale invariant. The concept that you're seeing right here is scale invariant. Scale invariant means you can make it bigger, or you can make it smaller. You can make that effect bigger or smaller. Just make the orbs bigger or smaller. That's it. So imagine making it bigger. Imagine making it 1,000 times bigger. That's a Boeing 777 in that video. That is a very big plane already. So when Salvatore Pais says that if you were to take 3 of these high-frequency gravity wave emitters and shoot them together at a central point, that you can make it annihilate, that's what he's talking about. So you can imagine a scenario where you scale it up, and now you've created something that can produce possibly a permanent wormhole. What is a permanent wormhole? A black hole. That wormhole that I showed you, watch how fast it disappears. This is slow-mo. This is super slow-mo. You're watching it frame by frame here. That thing is gone in 0.2 seconds. Imagine it didn't go away. Imagine that rip in reality stays there. Imagine it doesn't just stay there. Imagine that it gets bigger. How would you cause that? More mass, more energy, more. More mass and more energy. Scale that up. Why stop at an airplane? How about an asteroid? How about a moon? How about a planet? How about the solar system? This is why I'm trying to warn people. At the beginning of my stream, you heard Oppenheimer say, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. I sincerely believe that Oppenheimer understood this about the universe. He wasn't afraid of nuclear weapons. He was afraid of the logical conclusion to where this science leads, which is unlimited destructive capability. Unlimited. So, free energy, black hole superweapons, quantum teleportation, quantum communication capabilities, the ability to map a 3D structure perfectly hack and jump the gap. I'm not even done yet. We can manipulate time. We can manipulate time itself. When I posted earlier today, this morning, that the next war is going to be fought with space and time, I'm not pulling a David Grush here. I'm not going, it's non-human in origin. Oh, is he talking about cats and dogs? No. I'm straight up saying we're going to use space and time as literal weapons. As weapons. Yeah, I'm talking about some Tenet type shit. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you create that Alcubierre metric, you are changing time. And it's weird as shit because you're not going back and forth in time the way you would expect. You're changing the rate of time to go slower, or you're changing the rate of time to go faster, and then you're going really fast like this. That is weird. Do you know what you could do with this weapon? Do you want me to scare the shit out of you guys right now? I was thinking about crazy ass, horrific weapons you could make with this. Imagine I have a gun that is a gravity bubble gun. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to change the rate of time in a bubble around you. I'm going to put a bubble, I'm going to shoot a bubble, and the bubble's going to surround you. And what it's going to do is it's going to change your rate of time. It's going to make it so that when you're looking out, imagine that we don't know if you could see outside the bubble, but let's just say you could see outside the bubble. Yes, I'm going to have it stop time. Stop time entirely so that you are in a bubble and everything around you is not moving at all. Everything around you is not moving, frozen in time. If you were to speed it up, you would see that people are really moving. But from your perspective, you're moving normally, you're breathing normally. Everything around you is stopped. You can't leave the bubble. You are going to starve to death inside the bubble. And from the outside perspective, the bubble's going to disappear, and all that's going to be left on the ground are some bones. Because you can change the rate of time of the person inside the bubble. Slow down or speed up the rate of time of the person inside the bubble, and you can change their aging process. You can make it so that within a fraction of a second, that person went from being 20 years old to now they're 80 years old. Or they just starved to death after a few days with no food. Sounds like a fucking nightmare to me. Yeah. I told you guys, it's Friday, chat. We're getting dark. Oh, you know what? You know what, chat? Hold on. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait, why is this not making noise? Let's see if this works. Wait, do you guys hear anything? Why don't I hear anything? Wait for it. Wait. I'm gonna try to time this just right. No, you didn't. No, you did not. You did not try to come at me with this weak ass, trying to claim that we don't have this extraordinary technology. No. I'm about to give you guys nightmares. Nightmares for the next century, for the rest of your days. We can manipulate time. We might be able to live forever. Live forever. If you can change time, you can just do the opposite of what I was saying before. If you just turn down, if you use that negative energy concept on the bubble, you could revert someone's process from where they are now to where they were a week ago. So when you're talking about changing time, here's the crazy part. We're not talking about some sci-fi shit where you go back to 1956 and then meet your father or whatever, and then kill them or sleep with your grandmother or whatever weird paradoxes. That's not how time travel works. That's how time travel works for low IQ people. You all, though, are physics experts, 0-point energy advocates. You all know that what really happens is that you make a bubble and you change the time for the bubble, for what's inside the bubble. It's always going to be 2025 out here. But inside that bubble, you can go back to a previous time. But when you come out, it's the bubble that changed, not the outside. So if we have the capability to revert our local processes, what the shit is going on this planet right now? We are probably just straight up cattle, chat. By the way, I want to point out that I've always wanted to be able to just say, hey, chat. And now I get to say it like 3 times a week, as much as I want. Life is beautiful, chat. Life is beautiful. So we might be able to reverse the aging process. And this reminds me of a Jason Giorgiani clip. This guy, I love this guy. Why don't I have it? Oh, I know. Hold on. Some of my older clips, I didn't name them. Well, yeah, here it is. Time machines. Okay, Giorgiani. Okay, here we go. It reminds me of this clip with Jason Giorgiani.
Engineering stuff, and that they're trying to train pilots in how to fly these reverse engineered 0-point energy craft. But okay, what's the really important thing about that is that on a theoretical level, I've written extensively in Closer Encounters about how UFOs are actually time machines. And if you really stop and think through that carefully, you realize why under the current socio-political conditions, this technology can't be released. With the kind of society we have, domestically, globally, with the state that humanity is in at the present time, the release of that kind of technology into the public sphere would be utterly catastrophic, right? I mean, you can't give Tom, Dick, and Harry a time machine to put.
So that guy knows what he's talking about. He's a smart guy. I think he's mostly just deducing it, but he's got some sources as well. You can't just give people a time machine And it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter if it's not conventional time travel. Hell, man, any time travel is just crazy. Now, why is it time travel? Because this same process, remember, this Miguel Alcubierre, memorize that name, his warp drive metric, negative energy, positive energy. This is also free energy because when we pull negative energy out, that energy must go somewhere. It turns out when we do this, we're changing gravity and we're also changing the rate of time. When you change this level of energy, you're changing the rate of time. And when we're on planet Earth, we're all sitting on this planet that changes the rate of time. But all of us are experiencing it at the same rate because we're all on planet Earth. So what this means is when you mess around with the energy density of space-time, you actually change time. You change time directly. And this also means that time is an emergent property of space-time, of the energy density of space-time, of the zero-point energy. It's an emergent property. Or if you're like Roy D. Herbert, it's kind of a chicken and the egg. You could say that the time is the underlying thing and that the mass and the energy comes from it. Or, you know, whatever. Which came first? Who cares? Oh, let me hit some more of these donations because I forgot. MW, thank you very much. Fellow Minnesotan, my question is with Musk. Why does Musk continue to launch rockets if he knows of gravity manipulation? I was talking to somebody outside about this earlier. I don't think Elon Musk knows. Either he knows and he's one of the best actors ever, or he just does not know. This is the thing, is that if you're somebody who's of the classical physics mindset and you don't know about this stuff and you're not researching it, nobody's going to try to convince you otherwise. It's not like there's somebody in Elon's ear going, hey, man, you got to realize that we're hiding free energy technology. Nobody's doing that. Unless Elon were to trigger that conversation with Trump, and Trump knows never to tell Elon about that. So truthfully, I don't think Elon knows about this tech. It's possible he does, but I don't. Just from the way he's acting, seems like he really doesn't know. It's going to be an eye-opening thing for Elon. Now, the bigger question is, why are these defense contractors, why is everybody spending money on technology that they know is obsolete? Why is Lockheed Martin, why is Northrop Grumman, why are they spending this money on this useless rocket technology? And the answer is because they're not allowed to reveal the good stuff. The whole point of it being secret technology and being classified is that you do not reveal it. This would mean that all the stuff that you see from the public perspective is a front. But don't be angry about it. It's not like you would say, like, there are better phones than this smartphone. This is an iPhone 15, I think. And there's probably better ones now. But the point being is that if you think that what you're getting in the public is the newest shit, well, of course, it's never been that way. It's never been that way. What we get in the public is the hand-me-downs. We get the hand-me-downs. So why are they still building rockets and all this other crap? Because it sells, because you can sell it. Commercialization and the economy is not a situation where once something better comes along, it instantly takes over. In fact, it rarely works that way. In fact, when Bill Gates and Microsoft were coming up in the 90s, it wasn't that there was no other operating systems. There were better operating systems. Bill Gates just bought them all up and put them all out of business. That's what happened. That's what Bill Gates did with Microsoft. That's the difference between good ideas and the reality of the world and commercialization and business. But that's a great question, though, in terms of, like, why are they not building it? People need to understand, like, this is how the real world works. It turns out we live in a shithole where everything's corrupt as hell. The whole world is corrupt as hell. It's all a big lie. Everything is corrupt. Everything is like U.S. aid, where people are just getting money for really nothing. Very little actual, what we would think of as productive work and advancement occurs. But it does occur in some corners of defense contractors. Kirky, white men can jump. White men can at least understand warp drive mechanics. Although respect, I think Alcubierre, I think, was Mexican. So respect to Mexico. Mexico, you got it. You might have got a W. You know what? I should Google this and fact check this. No, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to. I'm just going to say it confidently. Miguel Alcubierre, you know what? Give Mexico a W. Mexico got the scientific paper, the first scientific paper for warp drives out there. We're just going to say it confidently and speak into existence. Give Mexico a W. Israelis have nukes all day, every day. Thank you for that donation. They have had a nuclear weapons program since 1957. They stole tech made in side details. I'm a little afraid to even bring up this topic, but here's what I'm going to say is that my suspicion is that the reason why we are so friendly with Israel is that their scientists have been instrumental in nuclear advancement and potentially zero-point energy advancement. How ironic would it actually be if, like, the reason why America was able to figure out this stuff before everybody else is that we combined the Nazi scientists from Project Paperclip and the Jewish scientists from Israel. And it turns out that if you mix the two sides together, that it creates that we are able to figure it out. That would be like something straight out of a movie, wouldn't it? I actually kind of hope that that's the reality now. I had never even considered that before. I just had that thought right now. But how insane would that be? Is if we were able to figure it out because we mixed the Jews and the Nazis together, their best scientists, and then that's how we cracked the code of anti-gravity. But yes, I do think that we are. It's not just Israel either. We defend Israel. We give them a bunch of money. They take advantage of us, whatever. Because, I mean, compared to their size, we have no business protecting them. And it's not just them, though. Like, basically, Europe, the UK, all the Five Eyes countries, Australia, these countries are just all under the United States' thumb. Like, we say, we have the advanced technology. You just do what we say, and we'll give you some dregs. You can have some scraps. That's basically how the real world works, which is going to lead to our next question. And thank you guys on Rumble. I see you guys chatting on the Rumble chat as well. All the chats are on fire right now, which thank you guys. And so, yeah, so the question about does Israel have the technology? They probably have access to it, but I don't think Israel is going to get the green light to break out the orbs. But, like, it wouldn't surprise me if we helped Israel, like, shoot down the Iranian president's helicopter with, like, a directed energy weapon, which is what I assume happened to the helicopter. I don't have any evidence, but just logical thinking. So we're probably helping them too, right? Because otherwise, how do you rationalize how everybody's like unconditionally supportive of Israel while like the public sentiment is way more mixed? And for me, like, I'm telling you, I'm not on anybody's side on it. I just think it's a crappy situation for everybody involved. I don't know what you do, and I wish you guys the best in figuring it out. I've got enough problems that I don't need to be in the middle of the Israel-Palestine conflict, too. David R., brother, thank you for that donation. Why does NASA have a government agency spend billions on primitive rocket tech? This is a bit of a misnomer. This is actually something else I wanted to bring up, is that people have this idea that everybody in NASA is an NPC. Dr. Yu showed us that they're not all that way. Some of them are outside the box thinkers, and they're not just assuming that classical physics is beyond, is the be all end all. And they're thinking of other concepts. And Dr. Yu is thinking, well, maybe magnetism is all there really is. Maybe everything is just magnetism all the way down. And maybe these subatomic particles is just people are just making shit up. When we get to the subatomic particle level, like, we're really reading the tea leaves at this point. Like, how strong really is the data? Compared to, like, we're just extrapolating based off of assumptions that were made in particle physics that are on the levels that we can actually see, right? But this is also the kind of same question as before. Why are we spending money on this stuff? Because there's a difference between the money that we spend publicly has to be on stuff that the public understands to be real and exist. The stuff that is secret, that's stuff we're not going to show publicly, whether that be at NASA, whether that be a Tesla conference or whatever. That stuff doesn't get talked about. And the thing that's scary about it is that you almost have to have an entire brainwashing campaign to convince people that space is empty. You have to have a campaign that says anytime somebody says free energy, you say that something can't be created from nothing. And like, It's just so crazy to me, like how we have just ignored this idea that you can just pull energy out of the vacuum. We know there's energy there. Just so bizarre. Mark Scott, thank you very much for that huge donation. You've just been you're probably the number one donator, brother. Thank you very much. Happy Friday. Positive waves for everybody. The word made flesh. Is sound making matter? And this is the real rub, right? Is sound making matter? Whoa. Because remember, here, let me just do a simple thing for you. Why is it that classic physics is going to struggle with sound being transduced into light? Why? Well, a sound wave is just a pressure wave, but light is an electromagnetic wave. So you're saying that sound and light is energy, right? And energy is matter because E equals mc squared. So you're saying that light or that sound is producing matter? Something's not right there, right? What are we missing in that equation? Is there a conceptual understanding that we have to change? Because otherwise, sound is making matter. This is why sonoluminescence is so controversial. But like I said before, there's a simple answer. Space is not empty. Electromagnetic waves are not non-mechanical. They do transverse through a medium. They're transversing through the medium everywhere all the time, including in outer space. But that's a conversation for another night. Thank you for that donation. As Milk said, I believe this shadow government is under the thumb of the NHI time travelers, similar to the ones Bledsoe interacted with. Everything's a theater moving us responsibly into their world with free will. You know what? Here's what I'm going to say about this. I was talking to the same guy I was talking to outside earlier, is that we see so many videos of UFOs, of things doing anomalous stuff, but it's always like a flying saucer or an orb of light or something like that. Almost none of the videos are of aliens. What do the aliens look like? There's a lot of stories about the different kinds of aliens, but there's no videos or pictures ever. Why are we so sure they're being controlled by aliens? You can take it two ways, and you could say, well, the aliens are using drones, which is definitely probably what's happening out there. They're using drones. Why would you have a piloted ship? That's a view from before we had drones all over the place. The other perspective is, well, it's just us. It's us doing the stuff. It looks alien to us because the technology is so advanced that's what advanced technology looks alien. It looks like magic to us. Now, which of those is the answer? I don't know. I've told you guys many times I don't know. I do find it hard to believe that we have magical orb technology and teleportation technology without aliens. And here's the last thing I'll say on the aliens for tonight. Guys, if we can teleport, where the fuck are the aliens? The only reason why people don't think that aliens are visiting us is because the distance is too far. If that's all of a sudden not a problem, and now any advanced civilization is eventually going to figure out warp drives, where are the aliens? That's a scary thought, because now they really should be here, and we really should be seeing them everywhere in the sky. Because any civilization after 1,000 years, 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, they're going to eventually figure out warp drives and this plasma technology. So where are they? Now, one view is the aliens they're not out there, right? It's not aliens. Or it's something that's so weird that it's not simple biological aliens, like it could be AI. The other view is these aliens that are advanced enough to create warp drives are also advanced enough to be invisible. They can monitor us from afar, or they can just literally be invisible to our naked eye, and we can't see them. So I just threw out some alien things for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for that super chat. Yeah, I mean, we're going to look at another clip here in a second kind of on my villain arc, but we're kind of moving back to the normal, to the chill Ashton. Okay, 400 comments. Guys, Jesus. Tonight's popping off. Okay, I think there was a couple of thoughts I had. One sec. Oh, okay. One more question on the technology. And then I want to go to talk briefly about this Tic Tac stuff. The next question people ask is, if we have this technology, why have we not used it? And why have we not taken over the world? Why have we not taken over China? Why have we not taken over Russia? Blah, blah, blah. You get the point. It's an interesting thought. And the response I would say is, why have we not taken over Iraq? Why did we not take over Afghanistan? Maybe once upon a time we thought we could do that. Maybe we thought we could do that. Maybe we thought Iraq was going to turn into United States East. Did Iraq turn into the United States East? No. Instead, we turned it into ISIS. We thought we were going to make America in the Middle East, and instead we made the Islamic State. That's about as big of a backfire as you could possibly imagine. We were trying to make America in the Middle East, and then we made the Islamic State instead. The biggest terrorist organization in the world, they literally created a government terrorist organization instead. So when people are like, hey, Ashton, why don't we use our magical orb technology to take over Russia or China? Can you imagine how horribly that would backfire? Let's say we go and wipe out Russia's government. And then we go, okay, everybody, all you Russians, you're now America Northeast. We're going to call you America-RUS. In fact, we'll probably give it some gay-ass acronym because that's how everybody does now. We'll call it like Amurus. You're Amurus now. Okay, Amurus. You're all Americans now. Now you love freedom now, don't you? Right? We came here, we freed you guys from your slavery and your poverty from Putin. If anybody really thinks that would work out and not be a complete and total disaster, then please just do not get into government or military. That's all I ask. I mean, I understand there's no way to convince you, but like, this is basically what happens is that we went into Iraq thinking that we're going to be these saviors and liberators of these people. And instead, these people all became terrorists and created a terrorist state based on their religion and hatred towards us, and started cutting off people's heads on and putting the videos on the internet. That's what will happen if we go and try to take over Russia, because the problem is not a military problem. The problem is a cultural problem. It's a cultural problem. The reason why Russia is not America is because they're not Americans. They've got their own culture. They've got their own ways of life. They've got their own systems of everything. This is why we're not the same. This is why we don't take over the world. This is why we don't take over China or Russia. And the other reason why we don't use this technology frequently, because this technology is a trump card. In fact, it was a giant mistake to use it on MH370. Probably the biggest mistake ever in military intelligence. The only reason why you could argue that it's not is because they didn't get caught. They didn't get caught. But for those videos to get on the internet, that's a huge mistake. They should not have used it. The reason why you don't use this technology is because you want to save this as a trump card. This is a trump card. You don't want anybody to know that you can stop their nukes. Their nukes are obsolete. You want them to waste their money building nukes. Let Iran and North Korea build nukes. Great. Spend your time on that. They're not building plasma orbs. Great. They're building shit that's obsolete that we can shoot out of the sky in a fraction of a second. Of course, we want them to think that that's scary to us. It's not, but sure, let them think that. So when people come at me, like a lot of people in their replies are like, why are we afraid of Iran's nuclear procurement system? I go, we're not. We're not afraid of that at all. We want them to be wasting their time on that They're wasting their time on that. They're not spending their time on something that's actually a threat to us. So if I'm the politician that's going to go to the media, I'm going to say, we are super scared of Iran's military or, nuclear programs, and we really want them to stop. It's very, very scary. Right? That's what they're going to say. It's wild. Okay. Let's see what I got here. Okay, I think I hit all the main points I wanted to hit on that one. I'm trying to get to my pilled chat here, guys, for you. I'm struggling on this. No real talk. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Where is the chat? Nice. Thank you, Matt, for being in the chat, brother. Appreciate you. Okay, I got my pilled chat going as well now. Okay. Last thing I want to cover tonight is this Tic Tac video that came out. So there's actually multiple videos that came out. And I don't even think I'm going to show the first one, but the Skywatcher people, which is Jake Barber, Gary Nolan, I guess, maybe some other guys, they came out with a video that has 9 different types of UFOs. They've been recording in infrared, and they found 9 anomalous things. Now, for me, it wasn't very exciting, but you know what? I did not feel the need, and I still don't feel the need to shoot them down. You know what? They're trying, man. They're trying their best. It's kind of like, this kid's building a sandcastle over here. I'm not going to just kick it down just to spite him. Look, let him have fun. Let him build his sandcastle. It's not hurting anybody. Let them film their UFO things. It's just some blurry ass lights glinting in the light. It doesn't really show anything. And they're trying. They're like, hey, we can't do anything with this footage. What should we do? Oh, well, let's classify it. They're weird blobs. Let's classify the weird blobs into different blob shapes. This one's a jellyfish blob. This one's a triangle blob. Okay. I mean, it seems kind of comical to me, but like while we're like trying to figure out warp drives, these guys are like classifying blob shapes. But I'm kind of like, okay, I mean, if that gets us somehow closer to disclosure, fine. Right? Fine. At least they're trying, chat. At least they're trying. Now, Jeremy Corbell released this video that we're going to watch here. It's 1 minute long, or maybe less, or something like that. Let's take a look. This video is being called the Tic Tac #2 because it looks like the Tic Tac video.
Always the VGSS team.
That like 22,000 feet.
That shit took off earlier. I mean, that's it. Okay. How do I stop this? Okay, so first of all, like this whole Tic Tac thing is clearly orchestrated from the beginning. How do I know that? Because the very same day this Tic Tac's being released, this video, Jeremy Corbell is on NBC. He's on News Nation with Ross Coulthart. So the only way that the timing of this even works out is that these people knew that he was going to release this video on this day, which already seems suspect to me. Now, the video that we were just watching there is a cell phone video of a computer, of somebody recording something on a computer. And I can't even tell what's hot and what's cold in the video. Is that endothermic that I'm looking at in that video, or is that hot in that video? And little Tic Tac, it just goes like this. It could be anything. It's like he's being allowed to release this video because it doesn't tell you anything at all. That was the main takeaway when I first saw that. I looked at this video and I kept thinking of it in the terms of the context of before MH370X, before all of this. I would have looked at that and I would have gone, look, it's another UFO video. Jeremy Corbell, yay! Disclosure, yay! And now I look at it and I go, this is the stupidest shit ever. Like, this is clearly orchestrated. He's being allowed to release this video. He clearly got the sign off by the DOD or whatever that this doesn't risk anything. This doesn't risk national security. This doesn't show anything. You're allowed to show this. A lot of these guys admit that that's what they're doing. Can you believe this? For the record, if any of you didn't know this, these guys literally go to the military and the DOD and before they release anything, and they ask them for permission. They say, does this violate national security? What? Can you imagine if I was going to the DOD before I released anything, was like, hey, I'm planning on reporting on this. Does this violate national security? What? Get out of here with this. So these guys are being allowed to release this, and it's nothing. The MH370 videos show a plane being teleported out of the sky unambiguously. Like, there's nothing, like, the plane is there, and then it's just not there. And the video keeps going, so it's like, there's no way to be like, oh, it flew off the screen. These videos don't show anything. In fact, let's look at it again. Like, what am I supposed to be compelled by here? This could just be a balloon for all I know. I don't know. I was wondering, like, is this like zipping away at a high speed? No. It looks like it's just sitting there. I can't even tell if the camera's moving or if the object's moving. The guy just might be moving the camera and the object might not even be moving.
Always the BGSS team.
That's what I'm supposed to be compelled by?
That like 22,000 feet.
That? I thought the plane teleported there, but no, they just like changed. They just like changed some view or something.
That shit took off earlier.
It's like, oh, it took off earlier. Okay, great. Where's the footage from earlier? And even I think in one of the longer interviews, he's like, oh, they caught it transmedium coming out of the water. Where's the videos of it coming out of the water? That would at least show something anomalous. You're just showing something floating in the sky. It's just a dot on the screen. Can you at least show us it coming out of the water? That would at least be noteworthy. And let's be honest, guys. These guys are not stupid, man. They're not dumb. They're aware of how this stuff comes across on social media. So, what the hell is going on here? Why is he releasing stupid-ass shit like this? There's got to be juicier stuff out there. There has got to be. Instead, it almost seems like this whole thing was intended to be leaked because it looks similar to the Tic Tac, and that they thought that this would like cause a media buzz because it's similar to the Tic Tac. And you know what? Before all this, it might have. It might have. But now too many people are just awake now where we're like, no, we don't care about floaty shit in the sky, man. We get it. UFOs exist. There's stuff floating around in the sky. We get that. What we want to know is what's the technology and what is it capable of? And so what I told you guys here tonight is what it's really capable of. So when you listen to these people and they say, like Jeremy Corbell actually said this. He goes, it has to be aliens because we can't understand this technology. Nobody on this planet has this technology. And in that same exact day, President Trump said, we have technology nobody understands. We have weapons nobody understands. That's the disconnect, right? That's the disconnect. People like Jeremy Corbell think that they know what technology we have and what we don't have. And therefore, it's got to be aliens. And that's a narrative that the government loves. Government loves that narrative because it absolves them of guilt and responsibility and accountability. It's the aliens taking people, abducting people, making planes disappear out of the sky. Don't think about it being us. And then you have the other side of it, Trump saying that we have weapons that nobody can understand, which implies beyond nuclear weapons. We have Robert J. O'Neill going on Glenn Beck. Robert J. O'Neill, the man who shot Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6, Dev Gru operator, part of the Alabama Maersk operation. He was part of another operation. Dude's got multiple videos or multiple movies after the stuff that he's done. Just go on Alex Jones, just casually say this.
What do you think Trump will do? Because Trump says he'll end this day one. The U.S. pays for 90% of it. I think he can.
How crazy is this clip, by the way? This clip is from last year, before the election. And this was Robert J. O'Neill saying Trump's going to come in and he's going to basically bitch every country. And that's exactly what he did this last week. Trump has been bitching every country. And now listen to what he says right after this.
Going to be the adult in the room. He's basically everything from the Malaysian flight that went away. I'm convinced that was a shot at China. Don't mess with us. That's 6th generation war. That's all we got, though, because it's not the Biden administration running this. This is a lot of people in the House or whatever.
Sorry, Mr. Robert J. O'Neill, Mr. SEAL Team 6 assassin man. Could you repeat that?
But the thing with Russia, China, Taiwan, North Korea, Trump will come in and he will say, all right, everyone, first of all, everyone stand up as I sit down. I'm the adult in the room. Everyone knock it off, which they will. But right now, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, they've got until January 20th of next year. And they know it. It's coming. But again, the Malaysia flight, too, was one shot at China saying, knock it off.
Jesus,
what do you think Trump will do? Because
that is some shit that needs to go in the history books. My dude is just randomly talking about 6th generational warfare. 6th generational warfare, chat. War over space and time. Randomly, just like it wasn't enough because Alex Jones didn't even like flinch the first time, and then he has to say it again the second time. And what did I show you at the beginning of this stream? Who the people that Robert J. O'Neill might know? He might literally know the commanders who were in charge of the operation of PACCOM and SOCOM. He like almost certainly knows that Robert J. O'Neill definitely knows we pulled an operation on MH370, and he probably highly suspects that the videos are real as well. Highly suspects it. You know what? I think that's probably a pretty good spot to end it. There's one more moment of Zen that I want to play us with because, again, like I said, we've got President Trump saying this stuff. We've got Robert J. O'Neill as well. I could be playing some of these engineers that talk about the science, but I do that on all the science streams. So let's just play. Oh, actually, there's one more thing I want to mention is I want to talk about this clip here. So the other reason, how are they able to keep it secret? Here's another thing.
It is. I am making an
shout out to Jesse and
advisory here.
Well, I love that message, and I made this deep dive on Thomas Townsend Brown. I think he's this amazing figure who deserves to be vindicated. And right before I did it, Eric Davis got in touch with me and was like, Townsend Brown is a phony. And I had known enough at that point.
He's counterintelligence.
I don't know. We know that. But you know that?
Oh, I've known that since the early 2000s.
Yeah. Guys, this is where, like, I actually wanted to talk to Jesse after that. I was like, man, maybe I need to talk to Jesse here, man. Jesse's like, he hasn't figured out. Eric Davis called Jesse up and tried to convince Jesse that Thomas Townsend Brown was full of shit. How sus is that? That is so sus. I don't even know where to begin. So if you don't understand why that's so sus, Thomas Townsend Brown was basically the person that figured out that electromagnetism is connected to gravity, that gravity is really just a pressure force, and that we can create a counteracting pressure force with electromagnetism using asymmetrical capacitors and cause something to just lift off the ground. It's called the T.T. Brown, Thomas Townsend Brown effect, or the Byfield Brown effect. And for Eric Davis, who's all of his scientific research, all the stuff on 0-point energy is based on the same concepts, to try to shut that down, real sus. Wait, Thomas Townsend Brown also sent a warning about Hal Puthoff? Shit, that's crazy. I didn't know that. Someone find that, post that in our Discord. I'll post a link here in a minute. So yes, and Sal said just this same week in my interview last week, Sal said that Eric Davis is the one that like cock blocked him from. He was trying to set up a research, like some kind of research group to research like the Pais effect and all this stuff. And it sounds like Eric Davis is the one that came in and shut that down too. That's wild. So part of the reason why they've been able to hide it is not just the matter of how compartmentalized it is, but also they have gatekeepers. Their physicists and engineers are gatekeeping publicly, and they live in the area between academia and the black world, and they're happy to discredit people to academia. And if they discredit people publicly to academia, they won't review their papers. So Sal won't get his papers published in any mainstream publication because Eric Davis will use his weight and just, say that it's bullshit, say that it's pseudoscience, because Eric Davis is considered the expert. And the irony is that Eric Davis, his whole science is based on this. I caught Eric Davis in the act in his interview with well, I forget what those guys' names. I think they're connected to Jesse though, but whatever their names are. Oh wait, where is it? Oh, I can't find it right now. I'm not going to play that clip right now, actually. So the last clip I want to play tonight, guys, just because we're running short on time tonight, is the Salvatore Pais clip. Because the Sal clip about this technology is the one that I even put in higher regard than Trump. Because Trump, like, yeah, he can stretch the truth, what have you, but Sal's an engineer. Sal's an engineer with the Navy. If Sal's out here saying stuff about what we can do, he's probably underselling it, if anything. These guys don't really mess around. And then what I want to say is that there's not going to be a hard truths this weekend, but I think I'm going to publish the NG8 interview that I did with them. It's only about 20-25 minutes long at most, I think. So it's pretty short, but I think it's nice for I haven't seen a lot of stuff like that out there. So and unfortunately it's in relatively low quality because it was like through a Zoom meeting and what have you. But the reason why I think you guys will enjoy it is that I was able to ask science questions. Oh, we can go back to normal too. Back to normal, Ashton. I was able to ask science questions to the NG8 scientists. And that's what got me down the road with Randall Mills. And I'm pretty confident that Randall Mills and his hydrino theory is like at least conceptually correct. By the way, I did reach out to him. And I don't know if I said too much. You can't scare some of these people when you start talking about MH370 stuff, but I don't think he's going to do an interview. So, but we'll see. Maybe. Okay, guys. Thank you, MH370X. I hope you guys have a good night. So tonight, here's your moment of Zen, guys. Salvatore Pais. The warning by Salvatore Pais to anyone stupid enough to attack America.
This way. If any enemy out there has some crazy notion to invade, to attack, to come out of the blue sky and do something harmful to us, I would please ask them, for their own sake and that of their mothers, to please do not take such steps. It will be quick. It will be very dirty. And you'll never do it again.
That is the hardest shit I've ever heard an engineer say. Think of your mother. Think of your mother before you decide to attack America. Just think of your mother, chat. Think of your mother. Thank you guys for the donations. I want to make sure I hit the last ones. Levi, appreciate it. Aliens are basically the same as when a kid blames his imaginary friend for trashing his room. Yeah, one last thought. Avi Loeb was on an X Space earlier, and he kind of thrashed the psychic people. I might do a post about it tomorrow. We'll see, but I'm not into thrashing people. But he did also get asked about MH370. I'll probably post that clip as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody. Peace out, MH370X. See you guys on Monday.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interest, far and wide. As Beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As Beers, sentinel of the night.
Love you guys. Have a great night, everybody. Peace out.
With infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar.